What's up, guys? It's RGT85. It is the weekend. Daylight savings is in effect, which I'm not really a huge fan of, but there are some stories floating around that happened over the past few days that I want to cover. So starting things off, let's just jump right into it. I want to talk a bit more about the Final Fantasy VII Remake because I'm seeing sort of a disconnect that is happening, especially when it comes to the battle system of this game and just the length of the game in general. Now, I was a big fan of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Sure, the camera was a little bit wonky at times, and I felt like the characters just overall talked too much, but for the most part, it was just a fantastic experience. The game looked absolutely phenomenal just playing it on my base PS4. I was just absolutely blown away by things like the graphical fidelity of the game, but what I really enjoyed about Final Fantasy VII Remake had to be the gameplay. Now, of course, since the demo has gone live, I feel like everyone has played it and checked it out that was wanting to play it, but there seems to be some sort of disconnect when it comes to the battle system for some people, and it's something I kind of want to explore. So, of course, the main story coming from this was one of the editors over at Kotaku just couldn't figure out how to do the Scorpion boss battle, acted like it was one of the hardest things they had ever encountered, and that just absolutely blew me away because I'm not someone who's super well versed in action RPGs. Growing up, I always preferred turn-based RPGs. I didn't really get more into action RPGs until I was an adult, and yes, I have played some and really enjoyed them, but I feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat is pretty self-explanatory. And the strangest part about that story had to be the fact that while you're playing that boss battle, your teammates, your people that are with you, whether you're playing as Cloud or Barrett, the other one is telling you what to do in that situation vocally. So it's not like it's hard to sort of figure out anything. I never died playing the demo, and it was just like, why is this such a big deal to some people? Now, of course, the bigger deal of it is the fact that it is no longer a turn-based RPG, and some people just wanted a graphical update for Final Fantasy VII and not really mess around with the gameplay mechanics. But looking at how the game is progressing, looking at how the game is actually played, I don't necessarily think it would have just worked like that. I don't think you could have just done a graphical overhaul for Final Fantasy VII and then made everyone happy. I think some people were looking for something different when it comes to the Final Fantasy VII Remake because that's what makes this game so unique to me. If you want to play the original Final Fantasy VII, there are a million different ways to do it. It's pretty much on every console that you have, so it's pretty simple to get into that game. But I feel like this is for something for fans of the series who wanted more exploration, who wanted more backstory on some of these characters, because you got to remember, this game is pretty old now, so to use the same sort of mechanics, I'm not quite sure if it would have worked. It seems like there is some of the old guard, the older Final Fantasy VII fans that were sort of hoping for a more traditional combat system, but I feel like the combat system is just absolutely phenomenal the way it is, and I feel like once you start getting more attacks and spells that you will have at your access and your abilities to do these things in the game, it's just going to open up the game so much more. Now, the other side of the controversy going on with Final Fantasy VII has to be the fact that, yes, everyone is sort of in love with the game right now. Everyone is in the honeymoon stage with this game, but you got to think about sort of the future of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because obviously you're not getting the full experience with this game. Now, playing the game, I can understand why. It's obviously been a lot more fleshed out. Everything that Square Enix has said, it's going to be an absolutely massive adventure. But what about the timing of these games? I think that's going to be a very important thing. Looking at the current landscape of video game consoles right now, Final Fantasy VII Remake is of course releasing on the PlayStation 4 as a timed exclusive. Eventually it will be coming over to the Xbox brand of consoles, but for right now it is a PlayStation 4 console exclusive. But how long is it going to take for Part 2 to come around with this? Obviously they can utilize the same engine that is in Final Fantasy VII Remake for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. Obviously they're going to flesh out Midgar a whole hell of a lot more in this remake to make it more of an expansive experience for people playing the game, whether it be for the first time or someone who is a diehard of the series. But what's going to happen when the PlayStation 5 is the console standard? But looking at something like Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, is that still going to be released on the PlayStation 4 if it comes out in 2 to 3 years, or will that be just for the PlayStation 5? And then what about, 3 to 4 or possibly even 5 years from now when Part 3 is ready to release? Will that still release on the PlayStation 4? Will Square Enix want to utilize the additional power of the PlayStation 5 in order to make it a more expansive experience? And then how will that really work with the gameplay mechanics and the in-game stuff that we have already seen from this game? I think timing is going to be very, very interesting with this situation, and I don't think many people are really looking forward and looking beyond the first part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because once you start looking at it, things get a bit strange with this. It's kind of weird to see a game that's going to be sequentially released in parts that could potentially not be on the system that it started out out on. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you a fan of the new combat system, and what are your hopes for it releasing on platforms? Do you think all 3 parts will release on the PlayStation 4, or is Square Enix going to have sort of a change of mind and want to use the additional power of something like the PlayStation 5? And then what will that say for the rest of the parts of the remake? Next up, Mario's birthday, I guess it's Mario's birthday, is of course March 10th because the abbreviation is Mar10. I don't know, it's kind of a stretch in my opinion, but because of this, Nintendo is indeed doing some sales for some Nintendo Switch games that are available at all major retailers in the United States. These include, of course, GameStop, places like Target. It seems like Walmart and Best Buy are also following suit, and you can get most of these games on sale right now, and there are some decent titles on sale when it comes to the Mar10 sale. Now, the main games that are involved in this sale are Super Mario Maker 2, Super Mario Party, Yoshi's Crafted World, and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Now, of course, there's varying degrees of quality with these games when you look at them across the board. I think Super Mario Party is probably the weakest of them all, but Super Mario Maker 2 is obviously the gem of this collection. And all of these games are available at, like I said, all these major retailers for just $40. So you don't really see many first-party Nintendo Switch games go on sale, especially at major retailers, unless it's something like Black Friday or the holiday season. So this is a good way to sort of get some Nintendo Switch games that you might have missed out on for just $40. I say if you have to pick one of the games from the list and you don't own Super Mario Maker 2, that should definitely be the game that you go and check out. Just playing other people's creations and seeing how creative people can get within this game as far as things you can do. Of course, there are updates for the game available as well. People are hoping that there will be more updates available as well, so it's a very good bargain, I feel, at $40. Now, some other retailers are doing some little toys and knickknacks and things like that will also be on sale. If you go onto your My Nintendo account, you can get some 3DS games on sale for some strange reason, and there's also some Mario merchandise that is on sale with My Nintendo. As of right now, you're able to get those same 4 games on the Nintendo Switch eShop for that same $40 price point, but I'm kind of hoping that Nintendo at least does something additional. I think a game like Super Mario Odyssey, that kind of deserves to go on sale. This game has sold so well at the $60 price point, so I get why Nintendo is hesitant to do it, but this is a once-a-year occasion. Like, throw people a bone. If for some reason someone hasn't picked up Super Mario Odyssey, which is one of my favorite Mario games of all time, this would be a great way to get people to pick up this game. So I'm hopeful that Nintendo could potentially do more eShop sales this week. Of course, there's other eShop sales going on right now, like a bunch of Mega Man games. If we get enough good games available to talk about, I will do a full eShop video sometime this week. But yeah, if you haven't picked up Super Mario Maker 2, I think at $40, it's a good enough bargain to where you'll want to pick that up. And maybe even Yoshi's Crafted World. Like, I thought that game sort of flew under the radar. It was a very beautiful art style. The music was very repetitive in the game. Yes, I get it, but I really enjoyed that game. So those are definitely the 2 picks out of the 4 games that I think you guys should check out. But be sure to check out your local retailers like Target and stuff if you want to pick up some additional Mario related stuff like toys and whatnot, because those are also on sale as well. And the final thing I want to talk about is Nintendo can be very protective over their IP sometimes. Maybe so much that it is a bit detrimental. Now, of course, we have the whole Cool ROMs and Love ROMs situation where Nintendo was aggressively going after websites that were hosting Nintendo ROMs on there illegally so that people were downloading them and playing the games without giving Nintendo any money. Now, I can understand why Nintendo would be upset with that. You do have to value your IP, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's not really necessarily easy to buy these games and give you money anyways, unless you want to dig out your Wii U or your 3DS or something like that. That's really a sort of gray area for me when it comes to Nintendo. But one thing I do understand is with this situation with websites like Cool ROMs and Love ROMs, they were using Nintendo related imagery to promote their website. So when you go on there, you would see like Mario being all happy on this website. It's like, yeah, steal money from me. Like, I get that. I get why Nintendo would be protective over that. But there's a strange situation going on with the Nintendo Switch Kickstarter right now, and Nintendo is going after this Kickstarter, and I really don't understand why. So this situation was being talked about by GoNintendo.com. I'll have a link to the article in the description box down below. Shoutouts to Kevin. Hope you're doing good, buddy. But this is just a really strange situation for me because this is dealing with a Nintendo Switch dock/charger that was currently up on Kickstarter. Kevin had done a write-up on the Kickstarter, and then all of a sudden the Kickstarter went away the next day, and nobody could really understand why. So Kevin over at Go Nintendo actually reached out to the people behind the Kickstarter to ask, well, where did the Kickstarter go? We just talked about about this the other day on my website, and they basically said the following: our campaign is paused right now because the Kickstarter platform need us to remove all pictures about Mario Brothers. We will get back soon. Please stay in touch with us. Thank you. So there was basically an intellectual property dispute going on with them using Mario imagery to promote this Kickstarter campaign, and it's just like, this seems like a strange battle. Like, what, I understand you want to protect your IP. I understand your IP is important to you, but this is something that you will have to use with a Nintendo Switch, a system that you have to buy and give money to Nintendo in order to want to back this campaign and have something like this charger/Switch dock. Now, of course, this Switch dock could potentially fry your Nintendo Switch. There was horror stories about third-party docks, you know, really being bad with Nintendo Switch systems, but this just seems like a battle that's not worth fighting. All this is going to do is give you negative PR. Like, it's not even a huge deal. Like, you're going to play a Mario game on your Nintendo Switch. If I took a screenshot of me playing a Mario game while using this dock, would Nintendo get mad at me for this? I just don't understand why Nintendo is sometimes so overly aggressive with their IPs. I get it, you want to protect what you have, but at the same time, this is just promoting your system, your flagship system, your main and one and only system that you only have right now. And if people are wanting to support this Kickstarter, they have to have Nintendo products in order to do it. You're not losing out on any money on this. So I don't know, I guess if it ends up frying your Nintendo Switch or something, people could say, oh, well, they use Nintendo imagery, but even then, like, that wouldn't stand up in a court of law. It's just a situation where Nintendo seems to put their foot in their mouth and give themselves negative publicity when they really don't need to be doing that. All right, so those were a couple stories that I found interesting that I just wanted to share my opinion on. Now, before we go, I do want to clarify something. In the game room tour video that I did the other day on the channel, I did say that I was downsizing my collection, but maybe I didn't really make it clear enough. I'm not downsizing like substantially. Like, I'm getting rid of maybe like 50 to 100 games. Most of them are duplicates of things that I've had just sitting around for over the years. I just want to slim down some NES stuff, some PS2 stuff. Like, I bought a copy of Ninja Gaiden 3 like 5 years ago on the NES. It's a game that's pretty valuable, and it's a game that is just sitting there on my shelf. So I just want to get rid of some of the clutter, the things I'm not going to be playing, so that I have room for other things I'm going to be playing. I know some people had some questions about that statement yesterday. You know, maybe I just didn't clarify it enough, but I just wanted to clear things up with you guys. The game room is always going to be my game room. I'm always going to have a lot of video games. I just want to get rid of some of the clutter to get stuff that I actually want and I'll actually play. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out the pinned comment in the comment section down below if you want to follow me on various forms of social media. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.